Hi guys, talking about the 7 to 1 CSS system again, and as you work with more development teams you realise that different people kind of think in a different way or perhaps don't understand, and I'm not saying mine's the right way at all. I am always learning new things, so if anyone has a different opinion, shout it out in the comments and let me know, but let me know why please, rather than just saying you're wrong. But here's the way I think about it. Like we have our base and we have our utils. Our utils will have things like our color scheme and stuff like that, which is reused throughout, so we have that set early on. Vendors will be things like bootstrap, and maybe like that sort of thing. Layouts just like for the actual framework maybe, and perhaps you might use like a navigation or something, a collection of things you might put in there. I would generally just use it kind of for the overall framework, so maybe to set the widths of things, maybe to set the spacing on some things. Yeah, not loads in there. The components where I do most of it, so if I have a header section with a slider in it, I would make that slider, well, it's a component to me, and I would put it in there, and then the next section I would probably make a component, and so on and so forth. But then we come to the problem of pages. So some people would say to me, oh, but the slider is only on the home page, that should be in pages. So the first thing I want to show you is how I do pages, and what I do is I go into page. This is wrong, by the way. We're correcting this because I don't agree with it. But I go into home page, and then within home page, I probably have the equivalent to components in here for the home page. And again, I group certain things that are all similar into a folder. The main reason is because it's really maintainable like that. You just know that all the files are in the same place, and you don't need to know. You don't need to know what they're called or search by alphabetical or anything like that. So you put them into a folder, and then you just use the index to reference another index within that folder. But what these guys were saying to me, oh, slider's only on the home page, so it should be styled in the home page. And I do see the point in that, but I use pages as overrides. So the only reason I wouldn't want to use pages as overrides, so the reason I do it is because in components I style things in the way they're supposed to be styled for that section, but I know that at some places styling could be applied for multiple pages or components or sections. In that case, I would generally try and just style the component and be specific enough not to style other things, because otherwise it gets complicated and you don't know what the hell is styling this bit because you've been a bit too lax on your specificity. So normally I don't have this major issue, but when I do style things like a hero section, for example, probably will be the same on all pages. Even if I replace what's in the hero section, it might still have the same background color consistently or something like that. So I would use pages just as an override. For example, the home page, the hero section is a different background color or not as tall or whatever it is. Then I would use the pages, and I would go into home page, and then I would create a hero SCSS file, and I would name it same as the other components or whatever, but in the home page only, so that I'm just overriding whatever has been done elsewhere basically. And the reason for that is because if I was doing things in, nowadays you would load only the CSS that's required on each page, in which case it would make sense. But in this case, because I'm using custom to load the index from each folder, so I'm pretty much loading all of the stuff all of the time and then pre-processing it into CSS files, and at that point we're then analyzing the page with a script and only loading the CSS that's needed on those pages. So this part has really nothing to do with page load time, because afterwards we sort that out with a script. So this is more to me about sensible organizing for maintenance and to be able to work in a team. So you don't want to come back in a year's time and go, oh, where have I put everything? I don't know where it is. I can't easily find it. I can't just update this website easily. And you don't want to pass it off to your colleague who's then not able to do it, or could be a freelancer, right? They may not know anything about your structure, but if you teach them the structure and how you operate and where things go, then it's maintainable for all parties. And as long as everyone's consistent with it, it makes a really maintainable site in the future when you come to add things on or change a section or refresh the page slightly. It makes it maintainable. So for me, I would always put most things in components. Pages I would use for overrides, themes is for like dark mode or something like that, which is slightly different again. But I hope that explains things, and I hope that makes it more understandable. And as I said, I'm not the authority on this. I don't know if anyone is, but I'm definitely not. So if you have a different opinion and you would use pages first, then I'd love to hear why you do that, because perhaps I can expand my mind too. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.